Do it like we were doing. Morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
So we decided to go live because we were having a bit of a conversation this morning that I think probably many of you also have.
Well, we're in bed here talking about everything. But then I told you that I've been asked out on a date.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll fill people in real quick. So here we are, kind of cohabitating together, right? You have your place, but I have mine, but we're nesting at the moment. And because we're sharing a place, essentially it's one place. And I'm being asked for a date, and it would be...
And it's not your first date.
Not my first date. And also the person that I'm going to see, they cannot host. So the logical thing, I guess you'd say, is that I would host here.
Right.
But if I do that, then that means you have to make yourself scarce for a minute.
Yes. And this is the second time this happened while we were here.
Right.
And so
it's the idea of when you're nesting with somebody, when you're sharing a space, how do you navigate the dating thing? So you've generously offered, or I guess it's part of the parameters, that you would go out and make yourself,
busy. Which I don't mind doing.
Right. No, in theory it's good. And you'd go do your thing, and I would have some time to myself or time with someone else. And it seems okay, right? It seems rather viable.
Yes.
But here I was saying that even though we have this way of being, our orientation is to be open and poly, there's still part of me, this, I guess, archaic part, or whatever you want to call it, that asking you, I feel as though, one, I'm kind of putting it on you, and two, I feel like I'm being selfish or kind of like disloyal to you, which is absurd, because here we are in this agreement, and we run this big show. It's a joke. We're in this thing about let's talk poly, and some people want to put on us that we are like, you guys have it like figured out, like you do all these things, like you wouldn't have these feelings, and yet it's the same feeling we might have had at the very beginning of this. Here we are 5 years later, but it's still occurring on occasion. Like I want, like we both subscribe to the idea of we'd be on dates by ourselves, we date together, but we by ourselves, and asking for that. What is it like to ask for it? What is it like to receive that? So I kind of feel a little bit guilty about asking for it. I'm kind of like, can I really ask you to like step outside and go see a movie for a couple hours, or go, with a girlfriend, whatever it might be that you're going to do? And that ask, it's theoretically okay, but asking it makes me feel kind of like, how will you consider it?
You said you felt, well, maybe we should just have the conversation rather than telling about the conversation.
I just wanted to frame it, but yeah.
So what are you feeling?
Well, I'd like to see this person. We have a little bit of a connection going, but it kind of feels like, I'm bringing in the dog and putting out the cat. I know that's a horrible analogy. But the thing is, asking you to like go outside in the snowstorm here while I'm indulging, it feels selfish. But then beyond that, it felt like I was this old monogamous way of like, not choosing you, or it was the loyalty was kind of like not there, or something.
Like it's not right to do.
In a sense, yeah, because like, especially I guess because we are living together at the moment, or nesting, that is the part that feels as though there's like a kind of a disconnect, because we have to go outside of that. Whereas if you were at your own place and I was at my own place, well, then it's like, okay, Thursday I'm busy, and you do.
I would just be
right. So I guess it's that cohabitating thing, and that makes me feel sometimes kind of monogamish. And because I feel kind of monogamish, then it makes me feel like, well, what kind of good husband are you being? Not a very good husband. So
yeah, but I'm, I feel okay about it. I feel, the last time this happened, and and we knew this was going to come up. The last time this happened, I went out and had like a really fun evening.
Sure.
And I wasn't able to arrange my own date or anything like that. And I think that's what sometimes people do, is like, oh, you told me it's Thursday, so now I have a lot of time. If I really wanted to, maybe I could arrange my own date, but it's not necessarily going to be an intimate date, but I could also do a lot of other things. And so it's almost an opportunity. It's like what we talked about, like I think we talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it like last week in our live, like, have some alone time. So it's actually good. But it's really, I get that it's hard. So is it hard because what would happen if I wanted to see someone here? Because this is really your place. Like this is, you own this place. This is not my place per se.
I know, but if we were at your place and, if I want to see somebody, would you be willing to give up your place and let me go? Yeah, you would. And in fact, you have. Were you around when that happened? I don't know. Maybe somehow I had access. No, I don't think you were around. But anyway, I think you would do that. And in theory, I would do it for you as well. If you have a date. I just had the thought of something coming into my chest. But yes, in theory, I would do it for you as well. But it's, and I know you're okay with it. I know that you have many options, whether it's having a date of your own or doing your own thing, like you're good. It's more the question of my feeling about having to asking you to get out for a minute. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Could you get out while I do this thing and then come back and be cool with it?
So then,
but it's like but there's also that idea of that monogamous model that makes me feel like I'm being, even though it's transparent, even though we're consented to it, it somehow feels like I'm being disloyal to you, or that coupled kind of feeling.
Yeah. I'm just realizing nobody's watching because we are doing it on our page, not our group.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well,
we can share it on the group.
Go to the page. Yeah, can we?
Yeah, we can. I think it's a good conversation. Or we can maybe just do it again, but that's fine. What was I going to say? So I'm going to say well, maybe I'll save it. I'm going to save it.
Curious. We'll have to tune in to find out.
Well, I was going to say, what would you need to believe in order, like, this is what I would say to my clients, in order to know that it's okay. Like, I'm telling you it's okay, but you still feel this way. So what would you need to believe in order to know
that's a great question, because intellectually, I know that it is. It's the model that we follow. It's our orientation. There's nothing wrong with it. It's how we have that agreement. It's consensual. You have the data in front of you, and you say, yes, that's something I want to do, or no, it's not comfortable. So it somehow goes beyond that. How can I create this feeling that I know that it's perfectly okay? Perhaps through experience. Maybe it comes with time, but it'll be easier.
But what would you need to believe? I think it's a good question. It's like, okay, can I offer something? Think about it
beyond what you're already doing.
No, like a suggestion on what you could believe instead.
Yeah,
like,
you know what I was thinking?
Like that, your belief is that you're putting me out.
Right.
It's not right. Like it's somehow.
So I guess if you were to ask me to step out as well, then I'd feel like it's more mutual. So if we had the calendar and, I go to write that I'm going to have a date on Thursday, but I see that there's already a request for Wednesday, then I'd be like, oh, okay, then, it's rather even. So I guess it's the idea that, it's to relieve my feelings of guilt of putting you outside. Even if you're wanting to do so voluntarily, even if it's part of our model, it's still the idea that I might in some way, the consideration of how it might make you or anybody else feel about that.
What if the belief was that it gives me an opportunity to do something that I enjoy doing and that I love doing that. So if you could believe that, like when we did it the other day, like I had a really good night. I walked around, I went to a movie that, you know what I mean? And I did all these things and it was great. And like this Thursday, I'm going to make other plans, either to see a friend or I think your mom wants me to come, like, and do her taxes, which would, and have a nice ladies' night. Like it'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I believe that you're able to be self-sustaining and enjoying that. I even believe that you could have a degree of compersion for me or for yourself. What is the compersion, sir? You have compersion.
I have compersion.
For that, right?
Yeah.
But even all of that, it's still kind of intellectual. It was in the moment of asking for or letting it be known that Thursday I have this, so you will have to make arrangements. I guess because
but that's a lot of advance notice. That's a pretty It's not like you said
No, it's
Wednesday, you know? And so I think that that's great.
so yeah, okay. So that's a good question, right? So we come to terms with it and we accept it, all that. So on a practical note, for other people who have this similar consideration or future time, what about that idea of notice? Like, how much time do you need? How much time, you know? So what happens if it's could it ever be spontaneous? Could you have like the, you know, spur of the moment kind of thing? An hour is maybe quit, you know, really quickly.
Hey, get out!
I was just about to draw a bath and say, hey, I've got one coming in, like, you know, get out. But you know, what is a good rule of thumb? What are people comfortable with?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the negotiation and discussions that you have. And I think if you have them in advance, you know, like I think our rule agreement used to be like 2 days if possible, right?
Right.
But I mean, I feel like we've come along to a space where, you know, it could be, you know, something spontaneous could come up. And then you could say, I mean, it's different if you're coming here. I think if you're going out on a date and it's spontaneous, that's easier.
Right. To say I'm stepping out as
Yeah.
opposed to, could you step out?
Yeah, like someone's coming in an hour for like a lunchtime, you know, an afternoon delight. I'd be like, oh, it's work time. You know what I mean? Like there might be things. Anyway,
Sure.
I'm wondering if
That's interesting.
I'm wondering. I'm sorry I messed this up and put it. I mean, it's great that it's on our page and on YouTube. Hi, YouTubers. But maybe we should have a talk in our group, or maybe we share this.
Okay.
It's been a great talk. Did you feel better?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it comes with, you know, with time, the experience. It'll be experienced as something that is more and more viable. You know, it's the first time that I actually live with somebody and date other people openly.
Yeah.
Right? So it's still rather
We're
new,
learning.
even though, you know, we've been in this for a few years, that feeling still at times remains that way. Right?
But I think what's great is we talk about it. And I think that's the thing. Then that's what's happened as we've grown and new things come up. You know, pretty early on in our relationship, you went on a trip with a partner. And that was something that we had to talk about, right? And, you know, I think you can gradually deal with these things as they come.
Yeah, for sure. As long as you keep talking about it, right?
Yeah. But speaking of dating,
yeah,
we do have a speed dating event coming up.
That's true.
So if people are interested, it's going to be super fun. And there's a link in the group.
Yeah.
So hope you join us. We'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be dating.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching.
Bye.
Good morning.